Look, the Eagles have got a good thing going. I think the reason why I think they're going to stay out of the wrong way, I think it's the defense. That's such a non-talked about thing. What Vic Fangio was able to do to come in with a really young defensive line. Jalen Carter's playing out of this world. They probably have one of the 2 or 3 top duos of linebackers in all of football. Then you've got the rookies on the back end. So it's working in their favor.
Chase Daniel on the Scoop City podcast with Diana Rossini. He says it's the Eagles' defense we're not talking enough about. So let's get into that with Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast and InsideTheBirds.com, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. And don't forget their YouTube channel. Just search Inside the Birds. We'll look at the Eagles' passing game and how that all transformed this weekend. But are we talking about an elite-level defense that not enough people are taking, they're not looking at this defense on that level here, Adam Caplan?
No, it's funny. I was trying to figure out who is that and what's Chase Daniel. It's good to know. So, yeah, Mike, it is really fascinating. If you polled a lot of national writers, and by the way, a lot of us have to vote for various polls. I voted, one of the two that I voted in is the Pro Football Writers Association poll, and that's also the most detailed. Most of these guys or gals don't know much about Milton Williams, if at all. I'm sure they've heard the name, but they don't know anything about him. Milton Williams is sort of like the glue to the front. We know how great Jalen Carter is, but Milton Williams is a terrific football player that so few people know about. And that I'm glad you brought this up because, look, if you look at the raw numbers, the team rankings around the National Football League, the Eagles have the number 1 defense in the National Football League. Like, if you would have asked me this to start the season, I would have thought, are we talking about the 1981 Eagle Super Bowl team? What year are we talking about? Oh, 24. No, this can't be right. Well, it is. Rush defense, which, by the way, got off to a slow start. Remember against Green Bay, Mike, where this Emmanuel Wilson comes off the bench in back of Josh Jacobs and starts breaking off these plays, and we're like, okay, what's wrong with the tackling? Well, Mike, the tackling has been good ever since the game where Vic Fangio brought out a new front against the Saints and they shut down Alvin Kamara. Isn't it remarkable? Other than the Tampa Bay game, that's when they were in the heat. They folded, but they've been phenomenal against the run since then. Against the pass, Mike, not only number 1, have they got anything completed against them other than a flea flicker? I mean, a natural drop back pass, right? Have they given up a play over 25 yards? I can't think of one. Maybe they have, but I'm talking about a drop back pass.
It's funny. We were talking about this the other day about, back in the Chip Kelly, Billy Davis defenses, you used to hear the word X play every single week.
I hated that term, by the way.
And now it's completely out the window. They dominated, and look, their defense was absolutely unbelievable. They gave up 163 yards, and now George Pickens being out, Russell Wilson, the deep ball, that kind of got in the game for 56 yards in the game as well. So it was just a dominant effort. But here's the big number. Since Fangio took over, they've allowed 350 or more yards 4 times all year. Last year, that happened 10 times.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And the thing is, I don't know why. Talking to the Steelers last week, they kind of talked up Mike Williams to me, and then they barely used Mike Williams to replace George Pickens. Just really not smart coaching. That was not smart. But overall, look, the Eagles' defense, and the other thing, Mike, is the buy-in from the players. Just look at the energy and the passion they play with. They're really out of position. They don't make mental errors. It's just great coaching and great execution by the players. Think about how pathetic it was last year when the players turned on Sean Desai. They got off to a great start. People forget about that. The Miami game was his signature game, and then the players, they lost the buy-in, and then you saw Desai reassign. And with Matt Patricia, nobody could figure out what kind of defense they were playing. It was just a mixture of his defense and the Fangio system. It didn't work. It was a disaster, totally undisciplined, embarrassing. And look, I know that if we went back to the 22 season, I think if we were being honest, they were more talented in 22. And I'm not criticizing Jonathan Gannon. I'm just going to tell you what I see and what I know and what people tell me who know more about football than I do. This defense right now really does not have a weakness other than Jordan Davis, who's a very limited player. Show me a player who's not playing well right now.
Well, it's funny because we were talking about that yesterday and a little earlier today. Is this defense better than the John Gannon? And it's funny because individually you go around, there's no Hassan Reddick on this team. That team had Fletcher Cox playing at a really high level. Brandon Graham had maybe one of his best seasons. You had Hargrave was awesome that year. TJ Edwards and Kaiser White played very solidly. Bradbury was second-team All-Pro. Chauncey Gardner led the league in interceptions. Marcus Epps was pretty solid. I mean, individually, you had a lot of good players who had their best seasons, yet this defense feels better.
It's funny, Mike, if you go back to that, so you mentioned Bradbury, second-team All-Pro. Okay, yeah, we know he had a very good season, but talking to some of their opponents that season, those opponents couldn't protect because they wanted to go after Bradbury. I'm telling you, that was a factor. If you can't protect, look, when you have a pass rush, you mentioned Reddick and Fletcher Cox, of course. When you have this pass rush that they had, and Sweaty was really good that year. When you have a pass rush that can protect your back end, it can make the back end of your defense better than it probably is and was, because we saw what happened to Bradbury last year. I mean, he should have been benched. He kind of was. He got his role reduced. And the other thing, Mike, another one, the secret sauce of this defense, other than the coaching and the execution by the players, is the depth of this team, Mike. When Blankenship gets hurt, he has a concussion. McCollum comes in, and we don't know much about him, an undrafted free agent. He's got to play. He does a good job. By the way, I have to mention this. Most people don't even know this or don't realize it. Nolan Smith, not only was their fourth edge rusher to start the season, Brandon Graham, through 6 weeks, had more snaps than Nolan Smith. And look what Nolan Smith is doing now. He's been really good. This has been a quasi-breakout season for him. He's just playing really good football.
Yeah.
You can't have all these guys playing well at the same time without great coaching. It's not possible.
Yeah, well, and that's the one difference between the Gannon team and the Fangio team might be the coordinators, the guy who's calling and dialing up the plays and just having a little bit better hand of when to switch something up, when to change something, and by the way, we say this a lot, he's the one who designed the defense, so has a little bit better understanding of it.
Real quick, Mike, it's funny you say that, because when they hired Vic, Jeff and I talked about, we talked to someone who coached with him, or coached for Vic in Denver. He goes, you'll notice the defense under Vic and Gannon, but you'll see the differences right away. And they'll blitz less. They're blitzing less. The thing that has happened that I don't understand, and it's something that I heard repeatedly by people around the league, was that there are voids in the Vic Fangio defense within his zones, and they'll get hit on that stuff. They're not. There's been no void in their zone defense. No one's been able to find it, Mike. It's been really shocking to see that. But again, and you got to give these players credit. The level that they're playing, Mike. Just before we get back to you, I just want to mention. We just mentioned Nolan Smith. Nakobe Dean. He obviously had not even been he hardly played his first 2 years. The Zach Bone story, everybody knows. This is incredible. Quinyon Mitchell is playing at an all-pro level. He won't be one, I'm sure. He's a rookie. So the AP won't probably recognize that, but he'll be in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. But if you just look,
by the way, he's the leader in the at the betting odds right now.
Oh, to be what?
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I'd be very surprised if the AP would vote that. I just don't. It's a splash award. They don't throw at him, Mike. They just don't throw him in enough. He's great when they do.
Yep.
He's giving up a touchdown. Still not giving up one.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see that myself, but he is the Defensive Rookie of the Year, plus 100. Quinyon Mitchell is the favorite right now, and so there you go. So we'll see. I want to get your thoughts real quick on the story of last week. Is it the story moving forward? The passing game, is it sustainable? They couldn't pass it a week ago. Can they pass it moving forward?
So, Mike, and you and I have talked about this. You listen to your show. You see it the same way I do with Jalen Hurts. He absolutely is capable. I say this every week. He just wouldn't pull the trigger. I don't know why. And I was told by someone today who's already graded the tape, the offensive tape, that a lot of the concepts that they ran in this game, they've been running all season. Just Jalen was not pulling the trigger on them. And this game, and maybe it's because it was Pittsburgh. I don't have an answer. Only he would know. And he pulled it like he was so in his zone. He saw it through it. You can't defend that, Mike. When your quarterback gets rid of the football and it's on time, like, there's only so much a defensive coordinator. Terrell Austin is their defensive coordinator. Like you've got the iPad on the sideline, the Surface actually, if you want to be exactly correct, the Microsoft Surface. I mean, you could show it to your players, but you're not going to be able to adjust significantly until your next game, until you watch the tape on Monday. So they didn't adjust to what the Eagles were doing. Jalen took what was there. How many times have we said this on your show on Football at 4? Kudos to him. Now, let's move this forward. Is it sustainable? Yes. Now, he's got to do it. But the good thing, quarterback is about confidence, right? We had said that he had not. We had said he had not been playing with confidence. I know you weren't. I listened to your show yesterday. I know you weren't really happy with his press conference. I loved it. I'm a little different than you are, Mike. I love how he opened his press conference. Oh, guys, so this is what you wanted to see? Yes, it is. If you love football.
I wasn't saying so much I didn't like it. I was asking. He's just such a hard exterior to read, and I was wondering if he was being playful, if he was being.
He's playful, don't you think so?
I don't know. I can't tell.
I thought he was. I thought it was great. Because I had no idea what to expect. And I'm laughing watching this. I'm like, is he trolling the media? The local.
Well, that's what he does it with he does it with a stone cold look on his face, like, so this is what you wanted to see, huh? But there's no like little smirk or smile, nothing. He's just a hard guy to relate to sometimes, right?
He's different. Look, he's a young guy, but I just look. He was phenomenal. Yes, there were times he held on the ball too long. That's a fact. I was told this morning about the guy who graded the tape. He said, "Hey, there were times where he held on to it too long." But the guy agreed with me that he processed so well, got rid of it on time with confidence. Footwork, by the way, that Greg Cosell pointed out to us that occasionally footwork was not good this season, but he everything I heard from a functionality standpoint was really good, and this is just an excellent performance. This is what you want. That's why I said, Mike, he's absolutely capable of doing this every week. I don't buy that he can't. I've said this with our Patreon group.
We're on the same page there.
Yeah, when people are beating Jalen up, I was like, listen, it's true. He wasn't playing well, but he's absolutely capable of playing well. I don't want to hear that he can't. And he just did. So it's sustainable to answer the question.
We will take a look ahead to Washington when Adam's back on Friday here on the Sports Bash. And, of course, the Eagles, unlike Detroit, very healthy going into this game. We'll take a look at that and more. Minnesota, by the way, we've got a 3-way tie at the top in the NFC. Yep. Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast for today's Football at 4. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, man.